As soon as you see anybody suspicious, call the RCMP, because this is getting ridiculous that they can hang around in town with such criminal records.
I'm here in Emerson, Manitoba, home to some 600 residents who've seen their sleepy, safe, and peaceful town now converted into the very front line of Canada's open border crisis. Already since the beginning of the year, hundreds, possibly thousands of migrants have illegally walked into their backyards in hopes of declaring themselves refugees in this country. Now, a bit of a picture of what you're looking at behind these railway tracks is a huge stretch of bush, part of 26 miles that's largely undefended, in which these refugees have been crossing into their backyards and knocking on their doors in the middle of the night in hope for some help. Now, just behind me this way, just a few meters, is Emerson Elementary, where some 70 students go to school. Is it any wonder then that Emerson residents have security top of mind? Well, I sat down with Franklin Emerson Reeve, Greg Jansen, who said this is a full-blown crisis. This is your town, and you know the people here better than anyone. What has been the reception on the ground to this ongoing border crisis?
Well, I guess in the beginning, when our numbers did really come up here February 4th weekend, everybody's welcoming, willing to help, do whatever we needed to help these people, because we had to house a few in our community center. And now we're, 3.5 months later. The feelings are, it's wearing a little thin here. This is getting old. Yeah, they're getting very concerned in town here for security, because there are still steady numbers of people coming through town.
What kind of numbers are we talking about?
Well, what they publicized here for April was 145 for the month. I think those numbers are low, but the first 2 weeks of April we knew they were slow because of we had higher water, small flood here, so they would have had to cross open fields, swim through drains type of thing to get here. So the numbers were low the first 2 weeks, but now the last 2 weeks or the last 3 weeks, the numbers are climbing again.
Do we know what kind of folks are coming in? Is it families? Are they single men, and where they're coming from?
They don't give us that information anymore, but there are families. There are a lot of single men. And actually, just 2 days ago, we picked one up 5 miles from Arnott, is the town that I live in, which is 20 miles from here. And he was a criminal. That's what the police told me. So,
do you know what that means? Like what kind of charges or convictions he's ever faced?
A long list of charges. So, and this person was walking around in the town of Dominion City on the weekend. So the police are actually wanting to put this out their phone as soon as you see somebody suspicious, because we're putting it on our municipal website now. Like, as soon as you see anybody suspicious, call the RCMP, because this is getting ridiculous that they can hang around in town with such criminal records.
Do you know where they're coming from? Is it like South America, or is it Middle East, North Africa?
Oh, I just talked to the RCMP now. He said there's one country they came from which he never even heard of. So they're coming from all over right now. They're not, mostly Africa, I guess. And they're coming around through Central America and then through the States to get here. Because we are in the center of Canada right here, so it's not like we're right by the ocean, by a port of entry. So yeah, they're coming all the way in from Panama, all the way down north to Canada here.
So what happens after they cross the border? We talked to a couple folks on the ground. They said that they've had knocks in the middle of the night on their house, and they've got kids there. Sometimes, their husband isn't around. Talk to me a little bit about what residents have told you.
Well, actually that happened twice in a row here about 3 weeks ago. It was still cold out, and yeah, the residents are getting concerned because they are getting a little more aggressive, some of these people, and knocking on the door at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock in the morning, and they're phoning the police right away, but it takes the police some time to get here, and they were trying to push the door in to get into their houses, and the next person said they yelled through the door and said, "Yep, the police are coming." And they walked around and started banging on other windows. So both of these families have young kids, and they were concerned for their safety.
Now, the Prime Minister has come on record and said that, Canada looks at this crisis positively, and that we're proud of what's going on, and that it's exciting. Those are his words. Proud, exciting, and positive. Do you think that's really what's happening on the ground here?
Well, it's not a positive thing. This is definitely not positive, because the people are getting concerned more or less about the security. I know we have more police officers here, but they can only do so much. This is giving immigration and refugee name a bad name. This is not how we see refugees. These people are coming out of the United States, which is a safe country, and then they jump across a border illegally. So there is concerns. This is not a good way to promote refugees or immigration.
Some of the locals that we talked to said that the reason why a lot of them moved back to Emerson, this is their hometown, they've moved back, or they stay here, is because it's a sort of peaceful oasis. You don't have to worry about your doors being locked. You don't have to worry you got a school nearby. Talk to me about changes that have happened. Have you had more streetlights or cameras go up? Is there more of an RCMP presence than there ever was?
Oh, for sure, a lot more RCMP. Like, we have 24/7 surveillance now with the RCMP, one or two different vehicles here. For the most part, the people are handling it, I think, quite well, but it's always on the back of their mind. Like, now they are locking their doors where they never did before, because it is a nice town, but we'd like to keep it that way. Yeah, there is always that concern in the back of their minds, because these people are always coming across in the dark. So that's always concerning. Like, if they're going to come anyways, let them come during the daylight. But why in the middle of the night and start knocking on doors?
U.S. Embassy officials were on the ground in Emerson this week. Would you like to see our Prime Minister on the ground here?
It would be nice to have them come out here and take a look and see actually how much impact this is having to our town and our municipality. Because, yeah, yesterday we drove around with the U.S. ambassador and we covered our whole municipality, which is 25 miles long. We have 2 ports of entry, and these people can't use any of them. They have to jump across the border, and that happens to be right here in Emerson, when you got a port of entry about 1.5 miles behind me with immigration. So this whole thing seems a little ridiculous of what's happening.
For all of our stories from on the ground here in Emerson, please visit guardtheboarder.com and help support our journalism. For the Rebel.media, I'm Faith Goldy. If you enjoyed this video, click like below, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and please visit guardtheboarder.com.